the only way to come out of the present dilemma for mankind right now is not to fight fire with fire. We need to turn away. We need to link with each other as groups and get on with life and just ignore. Do not fight.
Hello and welcome. Campbell here from Spiral Up. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And today we have Sal back, Salvador, and we're going to have a chat about the past and cataclysms and history, or as we like to call it, his story. And yeah, all that kind of stuff. So it should be an interesting chat. So welcome again, Sal.
Thank you very much. Thank you for welcoming me, for allowing me the opportunity to express myself in public like this.
Thanks for coming back.
Okay, this is going to be a controversial one. So we've got history, and the history that we're told is that 13,000 years back we were savages,
yeah.
And in the space of 10,000 years, we went from savages to the supreme Homo sapiens of the universe. And we also went from a few million, if that, well, depends who's you could say Adam and Eve, but we went from a few to nearly 8 billion people, all in the space of 13,000 years, okay? Now, we're now discovering that there were people on this earth 20,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago. And if you go and if you look into forbidden archaeology, yep. I've got 2 instances. I will provide details of. One is Permian, someone's footprint on the stone, and that's nearly 200 million years ago.
That's the one in South Africa?
The Permian strata. And then there is one which goes back somewhere between 300 and 600 million years ago, of someone, it's a young child, and on the bottom of their sandal, there is a trilobite. And that is between 300 and 600 million years ago. So clearly human beings have been here for a heck of a lot longer than modern culture allows for.
Mm. Hey, are you saying that the theory of evolution isn't true?
Possibility. I'm saying that the theory of evolution is just a theory.
Exactly.
The theory of evolution says that we have evolved, and I totally agree with that there has been an evolution. However, there's a sting in the tail to the theory of evolution.
It's got no evidence.
The sting of the tail is the sting of the tail is that human beings, now you need to appreciate that I'm talking like I'm an authority. I'm not an authority.
No,
I am simply a guy who, for the last couple of years, has been conversing with my higher self. My higher self, I call Charlie, is my higher soul. And I'm not going to go into souls right now, but for now, simply accept, if you will, that I've got a connection with something which is so much greater than me, to which time is immaterial. Past, present, and future are all one. And so, because I ask questions, I get answers. And because of who I am, okay, who am I? I am supposed to be one of 2,000. No, well, I am supposed to be one of 2,120 prophets messengers
Oh,
who have come onto this earth at this moment in time to convey information. And out of these 2,120, around 1,600 have already incarnated. And out of these 1,600, there is about 7 or 8 of us who are now fully aware of who we are. The rest are in the making. But whether you could take that with a pinch of salt.
yeah.
But for now, simply, if you will, accept that I've got a story to tell, which has been given to me by Charlie. And the story is that mankind, 500 million years ago, we were a group of biped herbivores. We were a little bit like gorillas. Not quite gorillas, but something like that. And so when we say, do we believe in the evolution? Yeah, of course there's evolution. We can see that, I mean, it's foolish not to, we can see evolution in the making with flies. I can't think what the name is. That's a special little fly that lives and dies very quickly.
Fruit flies, I think, aren't they? Yeah.
Sounds like that may be it. And so one can see a progression of evolution very quickly within them. By interfering with them in some way, yeah. So the evolution is true. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. However, we ourselves, we were 500 million years ago, we were herbivores, and then some true, what I call the true humans, came to this earth from Mars, and they spliced 1.5% of their DNA onto us. And that 1.5% of new DNA to us, not to the rest of we share the same DNA as everything else on this earth. The worm and us, we're practically the same.
Yeah.
However, we contain 1.5% of alien DNA, what I call the true human DNA. And that DNA began to create changes in us slowly. And it gradually altered us to what we are today. And we turn from herbivores to what we are, which is carnivores. A lot of people struggle with the idea, but our digestive system is a carnivore system. We can tolerate a certain amount of vegetables and fruits, etc., but we are intrinsically, nowadays, we are carnivores. We used to have a digestive system that was herbivore, but that is no longer true. Anyway, I'm digressing. So we were altered so that we would be able to take orders from this sort of true humans, which came from Mars.
Gods.
And they altered us for the purpose of being their slaves, so that we could mine gold for them, as well as magnesium, a magnesium isotope. And so that went on for a few 100 million years. And in that process, mankind began to change slowly but surely. They became more clever. They began to be able to understand, to have language. And the problem was that as we became more intelligent and clever, we realized we didn't necessarily want to be slaves. And so little bits of us Homo sapiens began to run away from the group, from being slaves. And we were culled every so often. The aliens, true humans, variety, they would cull because we were breeding like rabbits. Nothing's changed, right? And what they would do is they would get rid of about 70%, but almost, so then, when I was younger, I used to go to an island in Greece for my holidays. And this island, every year, it was just the one village in the island. It was the island of Spetsi. And every year, the local fishermen, once all the tourists had gone, they would hunt and they would kill all the stray cats they could find. And every year they would kill them. They would hunt the whole island, they would kill them. And every year they would have to keep repeating it, because every year there was a few survivors and they would start breeding all over again, and the cycle would repeat. So it was the same in previous times with the human beings, that they would cull humanity, because at the time we were still herbivores. And so there was a competition for the foliage. So all this, the rest of mankind that had escaped and set up life for themselves, they would also be competing for the food, the foliage. And so they would be culled, but they could never get rid of it. Meanwhile, we're just getting cleverer and cleverer and wiser and wiser. But I'm going to stop there for a minute and say that these true humans, of which we only have 1.5%, they themselves inhabit this galaxy. And within 3,500 light years of us, there's about 1,800 plus planets which are inhabited by true humans right now. So that is within about 3,500 light years of each other. There are 1,800 something planets. So there's a lot of true humans out there, and they come in different varieties. There's about 7 different varieties now. However, these true humans came from a separate galaxy. So about just under 200,000 light years away, there is another galaxy, or there was another galaxy, about 60 odd billion light years ago. You see, to talk like this is to say the birth of the universe is meant, we're told it's meant to be 13.5 billion years, and that's total nonsense. The universe has existed forever. As far as we are concerned, the universe is forever. Matter within the universe is finite, but the underlying structure, the universe itself,
Frequency.
Scientists nowadays, they speak of the dark matter within the universe. Yeah. But whatever the universe is, the space which holds all the matter, that's infinite. It's been here for trillions of years. As far as we're concerned, it's infinite. And matter within the universe has also been here almost forever in that sense. So the birth of the universe was not 13.5 billion years ago. We live in an infinite universe. So if we go back about 70 odd billion years ago, there was another race of beings, which I would call the ancients. They weren't ancients, but they themselves, they had been spliced. The thing to understand is DNA itself. DNA has been here. If the universe has been here forever, you could think of DNA as pretty much been here almost forever. And DNA, we think of our DNA as being pretty amazing. We do. In terms of software, computer software, it's an amazing machine. It's an amazing program. But this DNA wasn't created overnight. This DNA has taken eons and eons and eons to be created. And 78 billion years ago, true human DNA had already been around forever. So anyway, 78 billion years ago, there was a race of aliens in another galaxy who they already lived for 30,000 years apiece. We are so primitive. Even our DNA is primitive. And these aliens, they were dying out. They'd been there too long. And so they themselves they spliced their DNA with another race. And I won't go into it right now.
Mm.
I mean, it is on my website, but this other race, they were spliced with the ancient DNA, and they were helped by these ancients to very quickly rise up through the ranks. They were given the technology from the ancients who were dying out, and they then got into another race. That they got into a problem with another race about 15 light years away from them, who wanted to take over and kill them, and they decided to go away rather than kill this other race. Being enlightened human beings, they chose that rather than have to destroy this other race, they would go somewhere else. And so they departed and they came to our galaxy. So about 55 billion years ago, they came from another galaxy to us. They crossed interstellar space, about 200,000 light years, just under, and they settled in this galaxy. And that's about 55,000 billion years ago. About 45,000 billion years ago, this galaxy spliced with another galaxy. They came together and this galaxy grew. So it seems that splicing is the nature of the universe. Anyway.
Well, I mean, in
so
humans,
that is the roots.
we have a spliced chromosome. That's in our DNA, right?
Yeah. It seems to be the nature of the universe.
Yeah, and we've got one less chromosome than our, so-called predecessors that we evolved from. They tell us they've got one more chromosome and we've got one less, but one of ours is spliced into two, just like it's actually, been joined, like you're talking about. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is, in the Vedas, they talk about, the gods and like another race of, ape-like worker people. I can't remember the name of them. Do you know what color these people were? Were they blue? These true humans?
I have no idea. Okay, I have no idea. But they are humanoid, and there is. I don't know whether you saw it, but I did write a little article about the fast walkers. I'm digressing now. But there is another race of aliens who are not true humans, but who have also been spliced. They've got 1%. We've got 1.5%. They've got 1% of the true human DNA in them. They come from a planet 31 light years away towards the constellation of Hydra. And they are here now, and they are in communication with a very, very selective group within 3 governments. But I'm digressing. That's another story. It's an interesting one, but it's a different story.
Is that the Cambell though that we, those people? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's also to do with why they're seeking DNA right now.
Yeah,
all these PCR tests, sticking things in your nose, all of that. They just want your DNA. Okay, and there's a reason for that. But I'm digressing. That's another story.
No, no worries. Yeah.
Anyway, So the true humans came to this galaxy, and over time they spread, they settled, and a small part of them found Mars, and they went to Mars. And I'm not exactly sure on what happened to them, but there was another planet between Mars and Saturn. And that planet got totally destroyed. Well, actually, that's not true. It got mostly destroyed, and the result of that war also destroyed Mars. But that happened about 3.5 million years ago, and the planets that got destroyed, part of that is what we call the moon today, our moon. Okay, so the moon that orbits the Earth is part of that planet. The rest of it is the asteroid belt. But I'm digressing. So humanity eventually managed to win over the Martians, and we were then left to our own devices. However, we were still being culled, and we were being culled and are still being culled because this Earth has periodic cataclysms. Now, we tend to think of, oh yeah, we had this asteroid that hit the Earth 600 million years ago, and that was the end of the dinosaurs. Okay. And now everybody's looking out there waiting for the next asteroid to destroy us. But the truth is that asteroids destroying us are few and far between. It is our sun which is the problem for mankind, because the sun periodically goes nova. Yeah. And, if you ever look at a picture of the sun and the Earth in relation to each other, the sun is, I don't know, about the size of about 3 football stadiums plus. No, not even more. The sun, if you think of the sun as the shape of, we'll say, Australia, there you go, we'll go. If we think of the sun as being the shape, the size of Australia, then the Earth would be a little football somewhere.
Yeah.
Just the size of a football, like and the distance of the sun or the Earth from the sun is so minuscule that when the sun does a sneeze and it splurges this plasma, it goes way beyond, all the way past Mars. Like when the sun has a hiccup and it displaces magma from its surface, the Earth is right in its path. The only thing that saves us is the fact that we've got the electromagnetic field. But the electromagnetic field doesn't come from the Earth. The electromagnetic field arises as a result of electricity, electrons coming from the sun. So it is the sun which gives us the electrons that interact with the Earth, with the molten metal, whatever it is inside us, which in turn creates the electromagnetic field, which in turn allows the Earth to spin. So the reason why the Earth is spinning around the sun is because of the electromagnetic field that's creating this rotational thing. And all of that. So we rely on the sun for everything, including for the fact that the Earth is rotating. So when the sun suddenly goes still, which happens periodically, the loss of electricity, the loss of electrons emanating from the sun suddenly means there's no juice going to the Earth. And when there is no juice, the Earth stops spinning. And when the Earth stops spinning, the momentum of the water, because bear in mind, the Earth is 6/7 water. Yeah. So about 6 out of 7 parts of the Earth is water. We're mainly water. And when the Earth stops spinning, the water keeps moving. And this generates tsunamis somewhere between 1 to 3 miles high. And the tsunamis is what kills the Earth, the people on the Earth, the animals on the Earth. However, not exclusively, because with this hiccup from the sun, it also this magma, when the Earth stops spinning, there is no electromagnetic field. So the magma from the sun, 6,000 centigrades worth of heat engulfs the Earth.
Yeah.
So if you don't drown or boil, you're cooked, you're fried. And if that isn't bad enough, we now also know that there are some sort of superheated little crystals which are made, which is like little bullets. Now, I'll give a plug for the Die-Hole Foundation. They're very good at describing this. So this bit of information I've taken from the Die-Hole Foundation. The Die-Hole Foundation is also of the opinion that there is a cataclysm going to happen, and we both agree on the year, but we do not agree on the month. Now, according to Charlie, a cataclysm, the next one, will occur in March of 2046. The Die-Hole Foundation thinks it's going to happen in October 2046. I think it doesn't make much difference at the end of the day.
No. We've got a few years.
This is what Charlie tells me. So if, at the end of the day, what it means is that we're fucked.
That's not very good.
Anyway, so I asked Charlie, and Charlie did say that there is one place on Earth that will survive. It's a small place in Africa, on the eastern coast of Africa, and it's on my website. But I mean, yeah, you could go there and you'll be safe, but you know, who wants to live in a Mad Max world, which is what it will be by then. So it's a small area of the world that will survive. People will survive. Civilization will continue in a very, very small way. But you know what? Like rabbits will breed again. It'll happen again. However, that's the bad news. The good news is that the true humans, they're here. They're here, and they're going to come and save our bacon. Well, not everybody's, unfortunately. And this needs to be explained that so if I go back to the previous cataclysm about 13,000 years ago, we'll call those people the Atlanteans, the ones before. Yeah. There was about 50 million or so of them who I'm not sure at this time. I'm not sure whether it was 50 million or 50,000 that survived the cataclysm. I think it's 50,000. The rest of them died. There was about, yeah, okay. So there was about 50 million in total world population at the time. And they were not technologically advanced. They were spiritually advanced. Yeah. So their science of soul was far, far superior than what we are today. And out of those, about 50,000 survived. And they, through mediums, through people like myself, who said, okay, this is where you can go to survive, they went to various places. There were 3 places on Earth they went to, and they survived. One of them was Egypt, one of them was in India, and another one was in China. I think that's how it went. They brought with them the information from the past, the sciences from the past. However, something else happened. There was about 1,500 years later, something happened, and this is where the deluge comes in. And what happened was that the ice melted, the glaciers melted. And like at the time, the Northern Hemisphere had about a mile thick of ice. Like the ice came all the way down to Texas, for example, if you think of America. You know, that was a huge amount of ice. And when that melted, the water rose 400 feet. Mm. That means that all the previous civilization, which had grown, which had in those 1,500 years, they all got wiped. Mm. And a few survived, but, you know, it wasn't that many. But even so, here we are, you know, it's amazing how resilient we are. and we kept growing. And so we started all over again, so we were sent back to the Stone Age. A little bit of the information remained. And this is where acupuncture, the understanding of the energetics of the body, the human body in terms of acupuncture comes from, and where yoga comes from, the Vedas, all of that comes from this information that was kept. And in Egypt, the understanding of the mind via the whole understanding of the archetypal, the idea of, what's the word? The archetypal types. We had the 12 gods.
Yeah.
So the religion of gods, they were actually representations of how our minds work, different aspects of ourselves.
Yeah.
So it was all information from the past,
Backdoor,
which had been transmitted. But we've gone into the dark ages, and we're now bringing it back. We're now bringing it back, just in the nick of time, I think. So anyway, so I'm digressing.
How do we get
we
on
are
the
today,
ships?
and in well, yeah, exactly. And in 25 years' time, it's curtains. Now, what Charlie said to me was that this was over a year ago. He said that at the moment we're nearly 8 billion, but within 5 years we would not have grown. We would remain static. So basically, in 5 years, we should have gone up by another 500 million, the world population. Instead, the world population will remain static at 7.9 billion. And we can now sort of see that happening, right? We can sort of see, we get rumblings, I mean, we are sort of, let's keep this clean, but we can read between the lines. And within 10 years, the world population will be down to 7.1 billion. So if you want to take what I say with a pinch of salt for the time being, remember this. If in 10 years, the world population has gone down to about 7.1 billion, I could be wrong by a few million, maybe 1 billion, but if it has gone down, instead of being up by nearly 9 billion in 10 years, then you'll know that what I'm saying is accurate. So you got 10 years to think on what I'm sharing. And if what I'm saying is accurate, this is what will happen. Within 25 years, world population will be down to around 6.3 billion. By then, it should have been about 9 or 10. And of those, there will be around 2 billion who will still be totally locked in fear. Their level of consciousness will be below 200, and I will give you the information so you can put up. So when we are below 200, we're totally in ego. We're totally lost in our egos. We're totally in fear mode, in negativity mode, in anger, in grief, in sadness, in envy, all the negative emotions. We're down there. We cannot see the wood for the trees, and we're lost. We're just machines. Basically, we're reactive machines, semi-somnambulistic reactive machines. We need to rise up in consciousness. And by then, the other 4-point-something billion people will have risen in consciousness to above 450. 450 is the minimum level of consciousness, which means that our ego and our soul are now separate enough that we connect with feelings of love. To a greater or lesser extent, we're now beginning to open to the grandeur of the universe and to connect with our intuition and the higher powers which are within us, but which we are cut off from because we're lost in our egos. We're not in touch with the higher facilities of imagination, of creating reality in a productive way. We're just lost. Anyway, so we have 25 years to do this. Why? The true humans, their level of consciousness is way above 900. What this means is they are in complete connection with their higher selves, their intuitiveness, their psychic abilities. They're all right here and now. They're totally with them. They're part of who they are. They're part of all of us. But bear in mind that they're true humans. Their DNA is not, we've only got a little bit of their DNA. We cannot possibly comprehend what it's like to be a true human. They may as well be like gods to us, but that's going a bit into heresy. But they're so much more than we are. But what they are, the hallmark of consciousness is love. The hallmark of the universe is love. The hallmark of God is love. Love is the energy of the universe. Love is what is behind all matter via souls. Souls are behind all matter. And with that comes love. It is only us who are lost in our egos, who are not in touch with love. Anyway, so true humans are here for us. Right now, there's 167 spaceships around the solar system hiding from us. The level of technology is around 15,000 years beyond us. I don't think we can comprehend what that means.
Yeah.
If you think of the inverse square law, the way that we ourselves have been growing in technology over such 30, 40 years, well, now you keep doing that inverse square law, you keep multiplying that 15,000 years, we cannot conceive that. We're talking sentient spaceships.
Yeah.
We're talking sentient robots. We're talking robots that can feel, that can communicate telepathically. We just cannot conceive this. Anyway, their reality, you have to remember that we ourselves as human beings, we create our own reality. And even though we are lost within our egos, most of us, 98% of the world population so far, we are nevertheless co-creating a reality. And right now we're co-creating a reality of fear, a co-creating of greed, a co-creating of a reality of power, of wolves and sheep. And you can see that now. You can, if you look into alternative news, you can see that happening in Australia. You can see that happening all over the world. I don't want to go into that right now, but we can see that.
I was going to say, are these aliens? Are they instigating what's going on? Are they because clearly what's going on can be seen two ways, right? A lot of people are really stressed out and it's not a good position, but a lot of people are waking up and seeing what's going on. So are they behind this or partly behind this?
No, not at all. No, the true humans do not interfere. Their level of consciousness is very high. When your level of consciousness is high, you allow children to make mistakes. Children learn by making mistakes. And they cannot interfere. However, if I digress for a minute on this subject, I am 100% with you that people are waking up. And this is happening right now across the world. But what they're waking up to is the fact that they're slaves. They're not waking up to freedom. They're waking up to the fact that right now they're slaves. And this is important. Before you can be free, you need to recognize you're a slave. Yeah,
you can't
if you don't recognize
if you
you're
don't
a slave,
know you're in jail.
This is the world. Absolutely. So this is the first waking up. This is the waking up to the fact that you're a slave, and the waking up to the fact that you are not your ego.
Yep.
This is so important.
Yep.
We need to begin to separate from our egos. We need to start looking beyond the parapet. But before we can do that, we need to be aware that there is more to us than we're not just machines. We're not machines. We are so much more. We are creative. We are beautiful human beings when we're in touch with our hearts. When we feel, we are amazing. We are amazingly powerful. When we are lost and reactive within our emotions, we are weak. We are pathetic. We are sorry human beings. We're victims. We're just victims. All right. And 98% of the world population is a victim right now. And the way to stop being a victim, since we're having this digression, the way to stop being a victim is not by reacting. It's not by reacting with anger. That in which, by the way, we are being prodded to react this way. You can see it happening. You can see the prodding happening. They're pushing us to the limit. They're being irrational in the way they, you have to wear a mask. I don't need to wear a mask because I'm in power, right? But you have to wear a mask. We can go and do our thing, but you don't. They are flaunting in our faces. They are flaunting in our faces their power, that we are subservient to them.
Yep.
Well, this is who we are. Yes, you can't speak. Okay, right. So the way to gain our power, the way to truly wake up, is not to fight fire with fire. Is rather to turn away. Get on with life. Do your thing. If you are no longer a slave, what is it you don't do? You don't take orders. Yeah? If you don't want to be a slave, don't take orders. If someone gives you an order because they're in charge of you, and you react with your ego against the orders, all you're proving is you're still a slave.
Yep.
If someone gives you an order and you're not a slave, you go, ha! And you get on with your life. You walk away because you don't take on board their power, because you're not giving your power to them. So it is a big mistake to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not an easy one. It's not an easy one. Okay, this is not an easy one. But the only way to come out of the present dilemma for mankind right now is not to fight fire with fire. We need to turn away. We need to link with each other as groups and get on with life and just ignore. Do not fight.